Welcome to the latest Chat Academy's podcast. My name is Tino Hernandez and I'm Head of Media, Marketing and Planning at the Trust. We've had a short break in the podcast, but they're back by popular demand. I thought I'd go and talk to our head teachers. These are people that I've got to know, but maybe parents don't always get to know them as they might. So first up, I'm delighted to have in the little mobile podcast studio, it's the head teacher of Kingfisher Kingfisher Hall Primary Academy, and that is Mr. Matt Clifford. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Tino.
Thank you for being the first of my head teacher guests.
You're very welcome.
I've got to know you quite well over the last 18 months or so, but I guess a lot of parents still won't know you as well as I do. So I think one of the interesting things, Matt, maybe I could start with is your route to head teachership has maybe been a bit less conventional. You came a bit later to education. Perhaps you could tell us something about that?
I did, Tino, yes. I actually worked as a landscape gardener for many years. After my A-levels, I travelled and then got a job as a gardener and loved it. And I did that, for many years. And it wasn't until in my late 20s, I decided I wanted to work in education. Unfortunately, I couldn't get into university on my old A-level results. So I got a job as a teaching assistant. Did that for 2 years. That gave me enough experience to go back as a mature student to university, and then I studied for 3 years at Middlesex and qualified when I was in my 30s. So I've done a few different things, but it's given me the benefit of seeing education from all different levels, from being a classroom assistant all the way up to head teacher now.
That's probably quite unusual. I'm not sure there'll be many head teachers that have made that journey. It's very difficult being a head teacher. There's a lot of pressure on head teachers. Some parents would say rightly so, but given what you're trying to achieve with their children. But what do you like best about being a head teacher?
Well, first of all, I think I'll just pick up on that point. I think I agree with that rightly so part. Our parents are dropping off their most prized possessions to the school every single day. And actually, of course, there is a lot of pressure. That's something that we have to live with, because it's a very privileged position to be in, where we have the chance to affect their children's lives and improve their children's lives and give them the education they need to go on to be successful. So I have a 9-year-old child in primary education at the moment, and that's my motivation, to make sure that I do as much for my children at Kingfisher as I would for my son myself. And legally and morally, when the kids are here during the day, I am like their mum and their dad, and that's what I get up every morning for, to make sure we give them the best we can give them.
I expect a lot of people like me, before I joined education, wouldn't have much idea actually what a head teacher does day by day. Now I know you'll probably say no day is typical, but what's an average day looking like for you, Matt?
Well, I know what's on the menu today, so between 11:30 and 1 o'clock, I'm sweeping up peas. So no, joking aside, I do lunchtime duties. We meet parents. Strategically, I organise training for my staff, cover lessons sometimes, just make sure that we can improve the school all of the time. One of the biggest things that we have to do is be there for the staff and the parents and the children. So I'm always the person that people can turn to in times of need. And of course, I'm the one that's accountable, because if anything goes wrong, rightly so, that's my responsibility, and I'm accountable for that. So I think generally being here for the staff, being here for the children, being here for the parents, and making sure my staff get the resources and the training they need to be the best they can be, because our children need that.
I think you've been with us for 18 months, and I know when I start a new job, there's things that I inherit and I think that's good. There's things that I think, that's maybe needs to change, and there's some other things where I think my experience tells me that I should introduce something. So what are some of the changes or some of the improvements that you've made in perhaps your first 18 months?
All of the changes that we've implemented are based on sound practice, sound research, and my experience as well. We've not done anything groundbreaking, but we've done things differently to how they've been done before. So, for instance, the first thing we did was went back to whole class teaching, where the teacher teaches the whole class and children are taught together. The expectations are high, and if children aren't at that level yet, they're supported and scaffolded so they can get to that level, rather than before they were put down to a different class or a different year group. We've invested, as you know, a significant amount of money in resources, maths resources, English resources, redeveloped the curriculum. We're currently working on the new curriculum as a staff, which involves many trips and different activities. We've got a woodland walk now, forest school that we're working on, and our libraries. So, you know, we're just changing things in line with best practice, and part of that change is giving my staff the resources that they need to do their job properly. And we're very fortunate. In fact, I was talking to my staff this morning at the briefing. We're very fortunate that the trustees have supported us with investing thousands of pounds with TT Education and training all of the staff in all of the academies across the trust in high quality pedagogy and high quality CPD. There's a very high and clear correlation between the amount of time you spend training your staff and the attainment of your pupils.
I know that one of the things that you've been really determined in terms of the trust is to get more resources for reading and books. Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, certainly. So when I came last year, I brought in a company that audits how many books you have, how many children you have, and what you would need to make sure that every child has access to books all the time. With them, we invested £20,000 on the 2 new libraries, Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, plus books. We've invested a further £7,000 on a reading scheme that gets progressively more challenging from reception all the way to year 6, and another £5,000 has been spent just last week actually on sets of 6 books so children can use those in what we call guided reading sessions with their teacher. So I think in total we've spent over £30,000 just on our reading in the school since we've arrived.
I know from the job I have here that working with head teachers, I know something about some of the changes you've been making to the curriculum. It's actually quite exciting, I think. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you're developing the curriculum at Kingfisher?
So the main driver of our curriculum is for our children to know that they can make positive changes. You know, during our sustainability topics, the children were really quite upset to see all of the, let's face it, the mess that they're inheriting from us regarding sustainability, regarding the climate change, regarding global warming. And they were galvanized enough to make a positive change. So they were learning about something and then using their knowledge to do something positive about it. So I'll give you an example. Year 2, like many year 2s across the country, have just finished learning about the Great Fire of London. What they've done on top of that is learn about Grenfell, the disaster, and are now campaigning and demanding from Enfield Council that they reassure them that the tower blocks in our local area are safe to live in. Our year 6s have written to Enfield Council to demand that food recycling takes place, because they're working with a company called ReFood, and at Kingfisher our food gets recycled now at lunchtimes and gets collected and sent off to a factory in Dagenham, where it's converted into gas for the energy system and fertiliser for the local farms. Now the year 6s have done that on their own. They're now writing to the council to demand that more schools can get this for service for free. So there's lots of different things that they're doing, but every term our children are going to be doing something that makes a positive impact. So that contextualises their learning, and it makes learning real, Tino. You know, rather than just learning about something, they're learning about something and then doing something positive with that knowledge.
I know across the trust that preparing our children to be responsible citizens is a key theme. So I can see why you're picking up on that through the curriculum. There's often a debate between parents and schools about should schools be doing all the teaching and learning? Isn't that the job of schools? Versus the argument which says yes, but also we need the help from parents as well, i.e. that it really is a relationship. What's your view on that, and how do you think parents can help you as the head teacher here?
Well, I'm lucky to have amazing parents here. The amount of parent volunteers we have at Kingfisher is phenomenal, and it's growing all the time. And in fact, I was lucky enough to be able to employ 3 of my parent volunteers from last year, and now they're paid members of our team. So parents are a huge resource for us. There's research that actually says that up until the age of 7, parents have a bigger impact on their education of their child than their teachers do. So yes, it is the school's responsibility to educate, but the parents can help us by helping their children and just communicating with the school, which they do.
What about at home? Do you want them to do extra maths? Do you want them to help with homework? Is it reading? What is it?
Reading is the best one. A child who reads for 15 minutes a day for pleasure, by the time they're 16, outperforms peers that don't do that across all subjects in the curriculum. So reading is a big one. I mean, it opens so many doors and it helps in all of the different areas of the curriculum. If you can't read properly, you can't access secondary school education properly. So yes, I would say the bare minimum is read with your child, enjoy stories together, have story time at night time, try and reduce the amount of screen time that they, and listen, I'm laughing as I'm telling you because I'm a parent of a 9-year-old and that's difficult. But yeah, read with your child, do their homework, but also go and enjoy some time and quality time with your children. Take them to the park, go out on a bike, engage with the school, engage with the children's work.
Well, I'm coming to the end of the podcast. I think I've got two final questions. First one is we're recording this actually in your office, in your room. I think it's quite unusual, in a good way. Can you explain? There's lots and lots of objects in here. What are they, and what role do they play in the school?
I've collected these over the years, Tino, since I was a deputy head teacher and was out of class. They're things that I've picked up on my travels around the world, little curiosities, things I've picked up from museums. The reason behind it is, as I got into teaching to teach children, but if you're a good teacher and you get promoted, each promotion takes you further away from the kids. And I don't want to be a head teacher that doesn't interact with their children unless they come to my office because they've been misbehaving. So every lunchtime and every break time, my office is full of children that come in and explore all the items, all the curiosities, all the science experiments, all of the different things that I have on my shelves. And while they're doing that, they talk to me, they tell me about their weekend, their likes, their dislikes, what's made them happy. And it's just a way for me to feel that I'm still connected to the children. And they don't see my office as being somewhere that you only go if you misbehave. So, it brings me great joy actually to have all the kids in here.
We a few weeks ago before Christmas, we put some photographs up. I'll put them up again so parents can see, because it really is a vast array of just different and very interesting objects. Thanks, Matt. My last question is, it's generally regarded or considered that being a head teacher is a fairly tough job. It probably always was, but maybe particularly in this day and age, the pressure on results, parents, as you say, quite rightly demanding more. The hours are, I know, from working with, the hours are long. So what does Matt do away from work? How does Matt relax?
Well, I'm lucky in the fact that my wife is deputy head of a primary school, so we get the holidays together. So we've always gone camping, and last year we invested in a really old battered caravan. And in fact, I'm going away for 2 days next week. And my son loves cycling and fishing, so yeah, in the half terms we'll come into school for half of it, and then the other half we'll go away in our caravan or camping, and yeah, that's how I switch off.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Matt. Matt Clifford, head teacher, Kingfisher Hall Primary Academy. Thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you, Tina.